I'm Scott Walker and this is Walks on the Wild Side. In today's video we're going to be doing some more spring macro photography, but this time inspired by animals, in particular insects. And today is a great day for it because it's really overcast. I find that overcast skies can be really helpful for macro because the clouds form a kind of natural softbox which gives a really nice light when you're focusing at such close proximity. And on sunny days you can find that the petals on flowers and wings on insects go kind of translucent, which isn't a great look. But today we've got the perfect conditions for what I'm looking for. So here we have a rose bush, and on this bush there are lots and lots of ants crawling up and down the twigs, the leaves, the flowers. So I'm going to go around it and spend some time using my twin macro flash to illuminate the subject, or to backlight them perhaps, and get as many photos of those ants as I can. Now, it's going to be a little tricky because they're fast moving things, so I need to wait for one who slows down or maybe even stops, then snap a good picture. Now I've got some nice shots so far, but I'm finding the light from the flashes a little bit harsh, and so I've added a couple of diffusers on, and these diffusers are just cheap things that I bought from Amazon. They're actually diffusers for speed lights, and they only cost me about £5, but they fit nicely just over the ends of the twin macro flashes, and they'll allow me just to get that little bit more soft light when the flash pops, like that. So I just want to bring up two photos to show you the difference between where I've used the diffuser on the flash and where I haven't. So the image on the left of the screen, no diffuser was used, and the image on the right, there was a diffuser. And if I zoom in to the ant's eye on both of them, you'll see that in the one where the diffuser hasn't been used, there's quite a harsh white circle. And where the diffuser has been used, you can see some texture in the eye. Now, ants' eyes naturally have some texture in them because they're made up of lots and lots of little lenses, a bit like a fly's eye, but on a smaller scale. So the diffuser helps bring out that detail. But the second area where there's difference is the lines. So in the picture where no diffuser was used, there's much clearer lines than there is where the softer light was used because of the diffuser. And there's always a trade-off in photography. You can't have a flash that has both harsh light and soft light. So if you go for the diffused light option that gives you more detail in the specular highlights, you lose some detail around the edges. And that's not about focus, it's not about how you use your camera, it's simply that the light drops off more gradually over those edges than it does with the harsh light. So now I'm at this beautiful Japanese cherry tree, and I'm going to be using the Lensbaby Creative Filter system. Now, if you've not seen this before, go check out my previous macro video, which I'll link above and right in the description below. But I'll be using these different creative filters to photograph insects and bugs in a variety of different creative ways. So this is the second video where I've been using the Lensbaby Omni Creative Filter system, and I've been using it for the past few weeks and I feel I'm starting to get some good results out of it. And there's a learning curve to go through to understand what each of the different filters does and how they act in combination, but also how to compose an image quickly using them when you are short of time and at risk of your insect potentially flying away. So as I use them more and more, I'd be interested to know whether you'd like to see a video where I take you through step by step how I use this system to achieve the results that you've seen in my videos. Now here we have a tree where some of the branches have lost their bark, and what that is evidence that a woodpecker's been here pecking away. And what the woodpecker has exposed is an interesting macro subject. So underneath the bark that's come off, there are some interesting patterns, and that's created by insects, particularly moth larvae, which are underneath the bark and crawl around to create these patterns. Now the woodpecker pecks away at the wood to take the bark off and get to the larvae and eat it. So the patterns that show up are interesting, but not only that, there are some indentations, some little holes where you can see that the woodpecker's beak has hit the wood. So there's evidence here of two different animal types, insects and birds, that have created these unusual patterns. And I'm going to try and get some photographs of it. When I set out this morning, I was expecting to be photographing some slightly larger macro subjects, bees and butterflies for example. I wasn't expecting to be photographing ants. Now, all the photos taken in this video have been taken on the Sony 90mm macro lens, which is a true macro lens. That means a 1:1 ratio from the size of your subject to how it's replicated in your camera sensor. So an ant is only 5mm long. It doesn't take up much space on a 35mm sensor. So if you want to get closer to the ant and have it take up more of the picture, there are two options. One, you can crop, but the problem with that is that you lose some data, you lose some size. It's difficult to enlarge those photos without it looking fuzzy. Or you can use macro extension tubes. Now, in some of these photos that you've seen today, I have cropped, in some I haven't, and in others I've used the macro extension tubes. Now, I bought these from Amazon a couple of years ago for £20, and they're a great way to get closer to your subject. They are plastic, and it worries me slightly mounting my lovely Sony 90mm macro on a plastic extension tube, but they do have full metal contacts to transfer data between the lens and the camera. Another option that you've got is to use an ultra macro lens. Now, I didn't bring one of these out with me today, but I'm really interested to know what you want from the channel. So if you'd like to see a video in the future of me using the Lauer 25mm ultra macro lens, which has a magnification of 2.5 to 5 times, then I would make that for you. So please leave a comment below and I'll look to do that in the future. My next subject is one of the most disgusting creatures I could ever wish to photograph. Round here we have quite a few sheep, and where there's sheep poo. And at this time of year we get the yellow dung fly that arrives to land on sheep poo and mate. Now, it's not exactly the environment that you would want to make amour, but for them it works. And actually the fly is quite a beautiful fly. It's a really yellow golden colour. But if you're going to photograph these flies, it's really important that you keep away from them. You don't want them to land on your skin after you've photographed them on dung, and they can carry some pathogens. So it's really important. Try and keep away from them and give yourselves a good hand wash afterwards. So we've reached the end of this macro video. I'd be interested to hear whether you've photographed any of these subjects before and how you got on, so please leave a comment below. I'd also be happy to answer any questions that you've got, and you can also write those in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, you might like to consider subscribing so that you see more of the content that I put out. Also, I'd be very grateful of any likes or comments that you might make. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.